Welcome back to SportsCenter, celebrating 40 years on the air. I'm Chad White. Today's top story, Antonio Brown said he's done with his earthly life and tweeted to God to let him out of his soul contract. This comes after being dropped by both the Oakland Raiders and New England Patriots after two sets of allegations of sexual misconduct and, quite frankly, blatant disrespect. His actions led him to lose $40 million from his contract after a Sunday tirade against Patriots owner Robert Kraft and former teammate Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, and a threat to sue the league. Brown wrote about how he doesn't want to play in the NFL anymore. Now, Brown is going after the Lord Almighty himself, tweeting this: "Release me at God, #NoMoreLife," followed by, "Will not be living on the @real earth anymore. This God can give me talent and no one can recognize it. Do whatever he, she want at any time. We see if the devil 666 will hold them accountable. Sad he, she can just void life anytime going on 2 months. No respect. We'll see if he, she pay up." He even called out God, saying, quote, "Why don't you answer my prayers? Not even listening. Are you even there? I am your only begotten son. Just pick up." God wasn't immediately available for comment, but sources tell SportsCenter he's not entirely happy about the son comment. God is supposedly looking to offload his duties regarding Brown to other deities, possibly Indian god Krishna or pagan god Neptune. Prior to this, Brown got in a verbal argument with Pope Francis, calling him a cracker. All of this on the centennial year of the NFL. Not a dull moment. We'll have more after the break. Coming up, Stephen A. Smith talking so loud that you have to turn down your TV from a normal volume to way too low, only to turn it back up during the commercial break and then get scared when the show returns and Stephen is screaming again.
This is SportsCenter, brought to you by Middle-Aged White Men. Middle-Aged White Men. Get your politics out of my sports, darkies.
It's news time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the football news that you didn't know about. SportsCenter is going on 40 years in the television sports-based news world. How did this show go from one episode per day to airing upwards of 12 episodes in a 24-hour period? Well, you'll have to listen to WAMU's 1A episode concerning the 4-decade-long show. It's a lot more comprehensive and way better than anything I can do here. Ooh, here's a little taste.
And welcome everyone to the ESPN Sports Center. From this very desk in the coming weeks and months, we'll be filling you in on the pulse of sporting activity, not only around the country, but around the world as well.
Bob Lee, the early days of CNN, they called it the Chicken Noodle Network because it just looked so kind of slapdash and thrown together. What do you remember about the early days of ESPN?
And the instructions that we had from our initial president, Chet Simmons, who was there at the creation along with Bill Rasmussen, the founder of the network, Chet said, talk to sports fans the way you want to be talked to yourself.
In sort of related news, the National Football League is 100 years old. You would think the cold open would mention that. Hopefully I add that fact in before I shoot it. Yes, I did. Yes, the NFL is as old as some of the people that still run this country of ours. And this year, we're going to see some big changes. It's not going to be like the last few years when they said there were going to be changes. There might actually be some real changes this time. Might. This year, the NFL wants to increase ratings from years past. You will definitely remember about 5 or 6 years ago about the kneeling protests. Those led to fewer protests, which led to a decline in ratings. But then ratings got good again last year with a 5% increase, and now the NFL wants to capitalize on that. 22 million people watched the season opener and 627,000 streamed it. That's 16% more than last season. And since there was an increase last year, sales for commercial time are up 10%. Where's this new attitude coming from? Cool young players, more offensive plays, faster action. It's all there for a generation of people who won't sit down for a 3-hour movie unless it's pandering superhero crapshoot. Plus, blackout windows have been lessened. game over game. Moves started as far back as March of this year. Plans were made for CBS and Fox to air games from both conferences. What's more, networks are also thinking about how the football roadmap will look past the 2021 and 2022 when contracts for Monday Night Football and Sunday afternoon games are up respectively. Rights to air games are expensive, but the business is always, I want to say pleasurable here, but that sounds disgusting, so I'll say moist. Business is moist. Fox, NBC, and CBS are the only broadcast networks showing games, and they're paying out the wazoo for them. The current 9-year deal they started in 2013 saw the networks pay a combined $3.1 billion per year, an increase over the previous $1.94 billion. With ratings up and ad sales up, the NFL is back in power. Networks are cashing in on the newfound love for the sport. Better yet, it's not at the detriment of the viewer, and that's what it really is all about, you know? Money, baby. Speaking of things that it's all about, why don't you go all about here? Like, subscribe, and check out one of our other videos. Of course, you can always head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there's some hot new interviews coming your way. Enjoy. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionalist podcast. And if you're going to shoot a SportsCenter parody, make sure it's twice as long as the regular episode of News Time.